All right, everyone, welcome to the 7th episode of Resident Evil Resistance Interviews. Tonight we have Ranger Danger Live, also known as Ranger. What's up, Ranger?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
All right, Ranger, I tried to have Yagami on tonight, but he was too busy. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, he had a car accident somewhere out in the snow. Don't know what happened. But I'm here to take his place. Don't worry.
All right, Ranger, first question. Who was your main survivor in main Mastermind and why?
My main survivor was actually Valerie when I first started. When I first started with my old team, that was the main character I played. After people got really good with Valerie, better than me, I switched over to Tyrone and Sam. And my main mastermind was Spencer. I was actually taught how to play Terminal Spencer by another player from Malaysia. So he goes by Limey. So he definitely gave me most of the pointers and builds to get me started on that build, on that strategy.
Now, once RE3 dropped, what brought you to Resistance, and did you try the beta?
I did try the beta with my previous friends from a game called World War Z. So a lot of the players there who are really into zombie games actually got this game, got Resident Evil 3, and the fact that Resistance was a free bundle that came with it, we played around with it for a really good while, at least for a good couple of months. We were definitely grinding on this game.
Now, in your opinion, Ranger, what is the best squad of characters to have for a team?
In my opinion, I believe at the current state of the game, you definitely need both Valerie and January. I'd say those two are definitely top tier. That you need in pretty much all of the game. Definitely, because they can just do something that the other survivors cannot. Just they have specific counters against most of the masterminds, and there's just no replacing Valerie. And January is like right under Valerie. Needless to say, maybe almost as important as Valerie in certain scenarios. But after those two, I think the other two is interchangeable. Some people like to do Tyrone and Sam. Some people like to do Tyrone and Martin, or you can just use Tyrone and pretty much pair it with another character that you prefer and make that work as a team. But in my honest opinion, as far as I've played this game, I firmly believe the beta team is the best team. I believe it had the most success, and it has won most games, in my opinion. And no hiccups from that team. Definitely everybody doing their job in a team like that. So.
Was there anyone in particular that inspired you to be better at the game or improve or change your style, Ranger?
Definitely. Like when I first started playing this game, I did not have all these currently active players to play with. It was mostly with my World War Z friends. we're pretty competitive, so definitely we try to compete with each other. Try to say, who's better at playing survivors, which survivors were better at, yada yada. But in general, definitely one of my really old friend. I don't think he plays this game anymore. Um, but he goes by Pig, like the animal. So he's definitely inspired me to get better at this game.
Have you ever felt this game is too one-sided, more in favor of Survivor or more in favor of Mastermind?
Uh, in the current state, I do feel in certain scenarios you are pretty much one-sided, depending on if you pair up with the team. But when the game first started, it was definitely a mixed, a really good balance of wins and losses between survivors and masterminds. Masterminds could still win or easily lose, to the same group of survivors, and it was just really a really good balanced experience in the beginning. But as time went by, things started getting nerfed and changed, especially creatures. Definitely today, it feels way more survivor-sided than ever. If the survivors were to team up together, it definitely is more survivor-sided. Because most of the maps are small and short, which makes it really easy for survivors to get through the objectives and exit out. So, definitely survivor-sided right now, but I can see in certain scenarios it can be very mastermind-sided as well. Obviously less than survivors, but if we were to put, some of the top builds on Bemusement Park, it's definitely a more mastermind-sided map. So, that's basically what I think.
Now, did you play this game casually or competitively, Ranger?
I definitely played it competitively the first year that it came out, because it was so active. Most of my friends were all playing it. We were all discussing strategies. Plus, I recently I was able to find really good players and pair them all together. So that was like the prime time that we had on PlayStation. We felt like, for a time, we thought we were unstoppable. So it was a time when we were like that, and yeah, definitely competitively. I'm not playing this game anymore though, so I guess you could just say I'm not really playing it, or I'm playing it casually. Definitely not as competitive as when the first year it came out.
What's your best memory of this game, and who were you with when it happened?
My best memory with this game was definitely when, a really long time ago, when we played against a really good mastermind. I forgot his name again, but I was with Dark, Adrian, Kai, and Ume. Those were the four main guys I was with when I enjoyed the game the most. We met some really competitive mastermind. That's when we first met Lin Kuei, actually. And it was really good back and forth between us and him. And yeah, it was a really fun time around the first year. It was like really back and forth, so I really enjoyed it.
What are your thoughts on the Resistance community as of right now, Ranger? And why did you still play in it?
I think the community right now is obviously getting smaller. It is pretty much non-existent on any other platform, including PC and Xbox. So the community we have left is pretty much all on PlayStation. I still think it's a healthy amount of players. Definitely not as active as before. But I still think it's a game to play, if people really enjoy it. I still think you would have a lot of fun on PlayStation.
Now, Ranger, how would you change the meta of this game? What would you add or remove from it? Maybe stronger creatures, weaker guns, more equipment points. What do you think?
I think equipment points is perfect where it's at 25. Maybe it could be a little less. I wouldn't mind it. But I think everybody deserves a 5th slot with the amount of points we have. Due to the points system, a lot of the builds we have are forced to pick certain equipment to gain the most benefit from it. We're looking at things like iron nails, looking at things like FMJ rounds, dog tag, first aid spray, supplements, bulletproof vest. All these really high point cost equipment are now the meta because we are stuck with 4 slots. So we can't really use all the other low point equipment without feeling we're not squeezing that last little bit to get our full build in. So I definitely think an extra slot would be really, really well on both sides. I think both sides is going to get a ton of benefits. So I believe if both sides get stronger, it ends up being balanced out, right? Secondly, I think some of the survivors' skills, passives, should be buffed or nerfed. I think there should be a rebalance on stuff like that. So some of the broken stuff that we have in the game, if anything, if the devs can tone it down a little bit, it would be really more balanced experience. I'd say both on both Survivor and Mastermind sides. Some passives just needs to be nerfed, and some passives should be buffed to gain the benefits. Now that list is too long. I'm not gonna list it all here, but some basic examples would be stuff like January's pickpocket. I mean, you're only getting credits if you shoot the Mastermind's camera when he's on it. So it doesn't really bring too much to the team when you don't have any camera damage. Things like Samuel's first basic fever skill, I think it's called Brute Force. I mean, you have the speed of Immortal, which you punch really slow, but you also don't have the speed of Technique. So it's like a worse version of both of them, and there's no reason at all to use that over any other passives. So stuff like that, I just think it's just really bad in today's meta, and there's no reason to use those passives. So those are just a few examples, but definitely there's a big list on what skills should be buffed and nerfed. So yeah.
All right, now last question is just for fun. In your opinion, which player was the best with that particular survivor? So starting with the best Valerie, in your opinion, Ranger?
Best Valerie that comes to mind with all the customs I've done, I decide based on who's really good at shooting traps. So I based it off of how well they deal with Trap Alex, because that is the only build pretty much only you can stop it. I mean, others can kind of, bite the bullet and try to work with it, but you're really the only survivor in the game that can fully keep it locked down, basically. So based on that fact, I'd say the best Valerie players, I don't think there's anybody that's the best, but I think there's a best players list that I would like to say. I would say between Cody Lodi, Adrian, Dark, Dater Scorpion, and what's another guy's name? those four definitely. Oh, and possibly Scooby Gamer, but I know he does not main Valerie. However, he's really good at aiming, and he can shoot those traps just like those other four guys. So I don't really know if he's if he should be a Valerie main. But anyways, those 4 or 5 guys are definitely the best Valerie players that I've seen. It's a possibility I may have missed a few, but those are the main guys that it comes to mind.
Okay, best January? Right?
Best January is definitely between Dark and Dominic. Those two are pretty much the best Januaries I've seen. You'll probably think Dominic is a bit more higher because you see him play January a lot more. But I believe if you gave Dark the opportunity to play Jan a bit more, you'll see that he's also just as good as Dominic when under pressure. So overall experience, I'd say those two are the best Jans so far. At least actively, they're the best. The guys under them, I'd say, are people like Habiba. You've got Secret Ninja, I believe. He plays Jan, right? Yeah, Secret Ninja. You've got people like I think one of the guys from Friend Reaper's team plays her. I forgot their name, but one of those guys is also very good with her. So they're like just a tier under those two players. Like I said, I might be missing quite a few players. I just can't name them all on the top of my head. It's been a long time, but those are the guys that come to mind when I think about January.
Okay, best Sam?
Best Sam, I'd say he's also like how I would put Valerie. I believe there is just a wide range of players who are, I'd say, just really equally good with him if given the opportunity. It's hard to say who's better. I believe he's played in such a similar style in most of the games. So based on the fact that you just R2, when you swing at a creature, you dash around with R1, and there's not really too much difference between the big range of Samuel players. But if I were to say, it's definitely between Bacon and Grits, Cody Lodi, Adrian, Dark, Pepnik, and I'd say French Reaper as well are definitely the guys that I would consider to be the top Samuel players. Again, I could be missing a couple, but those are the main guys when it comes to mind.
Best Tyrone?
Best Tyrone, I would have to say single-handedly, it's gotta be Kai Hiwatari. That man just knows when to time his kick. He just knows when to use his fever. Just a really solid teammate to have around, and he's just really, really consistent with his Tyrone plays. That I have to say that he's definitely the current best Tyrones that I've seen. Obviously, like I said, there's other players who placed him, but Tyrone is just, after Kai, I'd say everybody who mains him or who plays him competitively are relatively on the same page. So based on that fact, I'd say, Kai is probably number one, and all the other guys are just on a tier below him, I'd say. Just on the basically equally good.
Okay, now Best Martin?
Best Martin, when it comes to mind, I would have to give that title to Gloomy Sunday, who now goes by Computer Boy on PlayStation. He plays exclusively solo queue and duo queue, so he does not get the advantage of a team, yet he performs extremely well even under pressure from competitive masterminds. So based on that fact, I think if he practiced with a team, he would be, one of the best, if not the best merchant on PlayStation. Obviously, again, you have players like Adrian, Dark, you have players from the French Reapers team, his old team. Again, I'm sorry I don't remember their names, but I'm sure people know who I'm talking about. Definitely, most of the Martins players there are, I'd say, are equally good. Just around the same tier, in my opinion. And that's basically it. I would have to give the title to Gloomy Sunday or / Computer Boy for now. And the other guys who main Martin, I'd say, performs around the same skill level.
Now, best Becca, in your opinion, Ranger?
Best Becca, in my opinion, before I met you, Ether, I would say I would give that title to JMG for PlayStation. However, due to the fact that I have not really seen him in any of the custom games ever, where he plays exclusively in solo queue with a team, I would have to give the title to you, Ether. I think based on general, just looking at it from a third-person perspective, I'd say you're currently the best Becca right now, the most competitive one anyway. I just think before you just didn't have great teammates to provide you with the support that you need. However, now that you can play with some of the best guys here, I believe you can shine more on the skills of being a Becca compared to the other Becca players. So I would say it's you, number one, and then the other guys around the same.
Okay, thank you very much, Ranger. And best Jill, in your opinion?
Best Jill is basically another opinion similar to Valerie and Samuel. Best Jill is like a range of players. I think they perform nearly the same. It's really hard to say who's better. These guys are winning games, each one of them, and it's really hard to determine, who's better or who's worse. But in no particular order, I'd say it's between Adrian, Dark, Scooby Gamer, and I think that's about it. I believe maybe one of the players from French Reapers team is also very good with Jill. I don't know. I don't remember who.
IDK 62.
Okay, if it's him, if it's who I think it is, then yes, I would put him on the same list as the other guys. But I don't know if I don't know if those guys still plays. It's been so long, but these guys come to my mind immediately. I've seen them in action as Joe players. They've done really well. They've won a lot of games, and I would have to go with that for now. After those guys are like top of the list. After that, you have people like Sada's Queen. You have people like UAV. I'm aware they are higher ranked, but I believe they are just lacking that little bit of communication when it comes to really tough games. I believe they lack that communication. I've seen them lose in certain competitive games, whereas the people I listed would have won those games, or actually have won those games. So based on that fact alone, those guys top four, and then you have people like Sadist Queen and UAV on just a tier list under them.
Any final statements or anything you want to say, Ranger?
I think this game has definitely been a wild ride for a lot of us. I mean, a lot of players have left, which I understand. But overall, I'd say it's been a blast playing this game, and it's definitely one of those things I won't forget anytime soon. But it's one of those things that it's for a niche market. People who like this game would really love it, love playing it, and I still think it's active on PlayStation. Even for new players, if you want to jump in, get in on some of these action, it's still there on PlayStation. So have fun while it lasts.
All right, Ranger. Thank you for doing this, bro. I appreciate it.
No, not a problem, man. Thanks for having me.